You are now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, best-selling author, and professional speaker and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, we bring you some super special, awesome humans from across the globe. Today's no different because we have an author in his house. We have an author in his house. It would be kind of strange if we didn't have an author on a show about authors. But today is definitely another day with another fabulous human because not only is this wonderful lady an author, she's also an inspirational speaker, a fellow podcast host, as well as a fellow personal development and leadership coach. And not only that, this woman right here has had a 20-year career in the IT field, information technology. So my goodness, folks. And you know the fun part about it? It gets even better. She's also a U.S. naval officer with nearly 30 years of service. That's right, folks. We got the veterans who know how to dominate on this podcast, baby. And you're probably wondering who I got on this podcast today. Who's got a new fabulous book coming out in a few days. It's the one, the only TM herself, Miss Trina Martin. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm doing well, Dom. How are you?
Oh, doing great, doing great. It's great to have one of the sisters on the show. The sister's doing some great work. Some great work. It's just like I got to throw on the robe and talk like a preacher because you got on the great work. You're doing great work.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, as with all introduction, not allowed to be 34 and a half days long. So mind filling in some cavities where I missed some things and tell us a bit about the wonderful Trina.
Well, as you said in the intro, I am a naval officer. I've been serving this country for 30 years. I started out my career as an enlisted person, the bottom of the food chain at E1, worked my way up to going to officer school, and I've been an officer now for almost 16 years. I wrote programs, computer programs, and maintained multi-million dollar systems for major corporations. I've traveled around the world. I've been to places that I didn't even have a inkling to go to. I've had some great successes professionally, but personally, I dealt with low self esteem and not knowing my worth. I had a verbally abusive mother who constantly told me how ugly I was and how I wasn't a good daughter. Every word that she spoke to me was laced with venom. She never loved me, supported me, or encouraged me. And as a result of that childhood, I became a type A person. I was driven to succeed. I just wanted to be loved and appreciated. I became a pleaser, hoping that I would get love and support in return. And it took me many years to overcome that trauma, that anger, and that bitterness from my childhood to be the woman that is sitting here talking to you today. A woman who is confident, a woman who loves herself, and a woman who is whole. And I realized that I was created to use my life and my story to impact and inspire others. And that's what I'm doing in my speaking, in my coaching, and with my book that's coming out.
Woohoo! That's what I'm talking about, indeed. And speaking of not being appreciated, I'd be a fool if I didn't say thank you so much for your service and continued service helping out the U.S. of A. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your support.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Someone was definitely lying because I'm like, ugly, you are definitely far from it. And that's just not me using my nose to be brown because, I mean, like, you're a wonderful mom of two, I also found out. And not only that, you also had some time in the Army before you actually joined the Navy.
I did. I have, first of all, I have two teenagers, a girl and a boy. They're the light of my life. They're the ones that at the end of each day when I feel like I don't have enough and I look at them, they're the ones that keep me going. And yes, I started out my military career in the Army. I did 3 years in the Army, and this was back during the Desert Storm time. And funny story, recruiter, just like the stories that you may hear about recruiters, he sold me the bag of goods. He said, "Oh, because I went in as a chemical specialist, MBC, which that's what they called it then. Now it's called CBurn. But I was a naive 19-year-old, and I said, "Wow, chemical specialist. What is that? Am I going to be in a lab like a chemist?" And he said, "Yeah, yep, that's exactly what you're going to be doing. And it comes with this big $20,000 bonus to go around." So, I was a 19-year-old, had done 1 year of college. And my reason for joining the military was to help pay for college because I was self financing. I was the first in my family ever to go to college. And like I was saying with my mother, I didn't have that love of support. So I knew I had to do something. And once I got in the military and got past all of my basic training and my schooling, I realized that they had put me on the list to go to Desert Storm because of the expertise that I had. And at the last minute, they said, "Oh, we don't need any more ground troops. You don't have to go." And that's when I said, "Yep, that's where I make my exit stage right." And I went to the Navy.
Sweet. Glad you survived. Um,
Me too.
oh, man. Oh, man. Yes, indeed. That recruiter's like, yes, I got one.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. But that's what happens when you're young and you're naive and you don't have anybody to guide you, and you're listening to people that you hope have your best interests at heart. So it was a learning experience.
Woohoo! Definitely a learning experience indeed. So, what led you to having an IT career? Because I think you're really the first to add in this podcast, especially a black female that's actually had a career in IT.
Yes, and I'm kind of unique that way. I'm finding out. Well, I kind of knew, but like I said, I joined the military to pay for my college education. I was going to college to get a degree in computer science, which I did, and I had a 20-year career programming. And yes, I was one of very few black females in that field doing that job. So, I guess you could say I'm unique in that way. And I purposely did that because I wanted a computer science degree because I knew at the time there weren't many universities that offered a computer science degree. Many offer, business information systems and information system management and things like that. But I actually wanted a degree in computer science because I knew, one, there weren't many women who had it, and there weren't many black women who had that degree in that specialty. So I was very intentional with that, and that's what I did. And I had the great career as far as being a programmer and doing that for 20 years.
Sweet. And any advice for the young ladies out there who are looking to become programmers or even get into the IT field from your experience?
I say do it. I know nowadays STEM is the thing now, the science, technology, engineering, and math. And we need to have more women doing that and more women in color, not just Black women, but the Latino women, the Asian women, we need to have more. And I say, if that's what you want to do, by all means, go after it with just fervor, because it is something that will take you very far. You will end up in places that you never dreamed of. And you will be one of very few, but you earned that position, and it's nice to see that. And I don't think we see many people, many females in that position. I know when I was actually doing it, like I said, there weren't many females, and definitely weren't many females of color. So I highly encourage the young people of today, if you're thinking about going into STEM, any of those technologies, or being a computer programmer, I highly, highly suggest it.
Sweet. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because a lot of folks are going for that nowadays, and it's needed nowadays because, especially in the DMV area, folks close to DC just need that, especially with like security and cybersecurity on top of everything else, with not just programming. So it's like there's so many different areas in the IT field that folks can actually fill spots in.
Oh, absolutely. And like you were saying, the cybersecurity, that's huge now because of just the world that we live in now. We have people hacking and stealing information, your credentials, and spear phishing, and swiping credit cards. So cybersecurity is huge now. And if you get into that field and you really hone your skills and learn and become good at it, you can write your own ticket. You can command whatever you want. And when I say that, I mean well into six figures. People are paying that now for people who are really expertise in the cybersecurity field.
Oh yeah, that's right indeed. Certifications ahoy on top of practicing what you know and staying on top of your game at all times.
Hmm.
Yes, indeed, because folks are getting more wily out there. It's so amazing. It's like a few years ago you wouldn't think, like with the popularity of smartphones, you think like maybe desktop computers, laptops, and tablets. It's like you got to be skilled in both now with mobile devices and the whole laptop, and even still the small amount of desktops up there, and just being aware and how folks can just swipe your information.
Oh, everything. I mean, and it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I look back from, now from to where I was when I started my career in technology, and I didn't have all that to contend with. I was a computer programmer. We didn't have, the smartphones and all the other stuff, and people weren't hacking like they are today. It's a different world today. It's so different, and people are using technology and computers to harm people, who to make people commit suicide, or to just, it's just really crazy when I sit back and I look at the things that go on. So not only do you have to worry about, okay, am I getting going to get hacked and get my information stolen and get credit cards stolen, or my social security number stolen, you have to worry about people doing this doxing thing where they're playing video games and they call the police and say, "Hey, this guy is harassing me," and they give them your address, and then cops go there, and a lot of times people end up dead because the police have gotten a false report saying that there was something going on. So it's really crazy, and people are crazy nowadays. So they're using technology to really do some nefarious things. So you have to be alert and aware of everything that's going on.
That's right. Your fridge could open its doors and grow some arms and legs since it has an IP address now, probably.
Hmm. Oh, Dom.
You just visualized it, didn't you?
Yes. Oh, Dom.
Like, hey, mom, I was getting a midnight snack and the fridge told me to to, to F off. Like, what?
Hey, we're laughing now, but it's probably not too far around the corner.
Yeah, it's true. I'm good to my fridge for the most part that I know
Please, yeah, be nice to the fridge.
of. All right, that is so a new t-shirt idea.
Oh my goodness.
Be nice to your phone and your fridge.
Yes, yes, yes. They're very powerful.
That's right. One makes ice, one can get you the attention from ice, maybe.
Oh.
In addition to like keeping focus on your programming, keeping yourself up to date, what else has really kept you in the field for so long that you can actually really be good at it? Because usually, folks, if they have been programming or in any type of technology field, they got to been doing something in addition to keep themselves very in high demand.
Just personal development, and that's why I coach on that and train on it now, because with technology, even more so nowadays, everything changes rapidly. So when I was programming, I was always going a step further. So I was always keeping my skills up to date, or learning new skills, or taking an online course, getting a new book, learning a new language. You can never be complacent. You always have to continue to grow, and you can't wait on a company to do it for you or to pay for it for you. So a lot of times you got to just invest in yourself. And that's one of the things that I talk about in my book, and that I talk about with my clients and coaching. You have to invest in yourself. You just can't be stagnant in life, and you have to live your life intentionally. So that's just what I did for those 20 years. Of course, you get on the job training, and your company sends you to places, or they want you to get certifications, but you have to do things outside of that to kind of get a leg up on things that are going on. So I did that.
Ah, there you go. And this one might be more difficult of a question, but what's probably been your best investment in yourself with keeping yourself abreast with all the personal development and heck, even turning yourself into a coach as well? So that's probably been one heck of a transition because most IT folks they may be pigeonholed in the box of folks who can't communicate effectively with other humans.
Absolutely. And I never had that problem. And I know exactly what you're talking about. And I know some people like that. And I've worked with people like that. But by me being in the military and having to interact with people, and then becoming an officer and having to interact with admirals and generals and brief people, I had to know how to communicate. So that actually pushed me out of the comfort zone. So I was more than just a techie, because most techies, as you say, can't communicate with other people because they're so engrossed in the technology that they don't know how to speak and walk and talk and chew bubblegum and talk to other people. So, to answer your question, the biggest and most valuable investment that I have made in myself is my speaking. I have my personal coach is Lisa Nichols. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's a great speaker out there with the Tony Robbins and the Jack Canfields of the world. But she's my personal speaking coach, and that has been the best investment that I could have made as far as my personal development, because coming from the world that I come from, as far as being up in IT, being a computer person, I am analytical and I know all the technology. Then being in the military and having to brief and talk to high ranking people, I wanted to take things to another level. And again, here it goes to that personal development. I wanted to be able to speak and convey my message in a way that resonated with people, not like I was trying to brief them or giving a military brief standing up in the Pentagon. I wanted to be something that people could sit back and relate to and be impacted by. So that has been the most beneficial personal development investment that I've made in myself.
Sweet. Learn something new today. Lisa Nichols is your coach. You made a fine choice indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. She is fabulous. Listen to her audiobook, Abundance Now. Powerful stuff.
Yes, yes.
That's right. Abundance Now, baby. That's right. I want my abundance and I need it now. That's right. That's right. It doesn't have to all be money. It could be a whole cornfield of corny jokes. Abundance Now, baby. That's right. Woo.
Mm.
But definitely good though. Definitely good though. And the beautiful thing about it is that with that investment into your communication, you actually became a fellow podcast host and you're 60 plus episodes in at the time of this recording. How's it feel?
I love it. I really love it. And just like many people, and I don't know if you felt this way, when I started, I was very hesitant. I was going, what am I doing? Is anyone going to listen? Is this something I should do? And I was scared because it's kind of weird because you're talking into a microphone. Sometimes you're sitting in person with another person. Sometimes you're not. It could be just like what we're doing here. And it was very scary starting out. But my goal with that was to gain an audience for the people who cannot come and see me personally or be with me coaching. And I wanted to impart some motivation to people regardless of where they were in their life, whether it was personally or professionally, whether they were executives or entry level. And now it's just like my second skin. I do it. I love doing it. I connect with people all over the world. And that has been the greatest reward with doing a podcast is just the great people that I have ended up talking to.
Oh, yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. It's kind of funny how that works. It's like we're always scared in the beginning, no matter how fearless you may think you are in certain regards. It's like just the thought of doing something that involves some kind of change can just bring even the smallest dose of fear. But after you finally get in there and you metaphorically swim and you just get better at it and better at it, it's like kind of like riding a bike.
Mm-hmm.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Well, besides starting a podcast, and since you've been consistent with 60 plus episodes, any other advice that you love to give others who are looking to start their podcast in the year of 2020 with a new vision?
I'd say do it. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need the expensive professional equipment. Do it. Get what you can afford, the equipment that you can afford, and just do it. Just take that leap. Do it with your knees knocking and your teeth chattering, and you're going to get better with it. You're When you first do it, you're going to say, "Oh, I sound terrible. I stuttered. I said 1200 times." But that's not the point. The point is that you do it and someone's going to listen to you. And don't, don't, don't sit and compare yourself to these people who say, "Oh, I have 12 million downloads and 12 million people listening," because they probably don't. And it really doesn't matter as far as how many people. You're not out there trying to get 12 million people to listen. You want people who are going to listen and it's going to impact them and people who are going to continue to listen and come back week after week or day after day, whatever it is that however frequently you're publishing. So just get out there, do it, be you, and be true to yourself.
There you have it, folks. There you have it, folks. That's right indeed. That's that empowerment right there, that motivation, baby. That's right. Don't do it. Don't even compare yourself to those biggie wiggies. That's right. Or the big wigs, as some say. That's right. Because those downloads may not always mean anything. They could be random bots.
Mm-hmm. Could be.
That's right. They could be that IP address refrigerator.
Dom, dom, dom.
That's right. The vegetable crisper is full of cucumbers, as listeners too, probably.
Mm, mm, mm. Oh my goodness.
Well, enough of man, who am I kidding? Ain't no enough of my silliness. Well, it's freaking fabulous. So, with all this experience, investing in yourself to be an effective communicator, not just in the Navy and the office, but in front of stages, on and offline, to now having this fabulous book. So, tell us a little bit about the book and what to expect and what led you to finally joining the business of immortality known as authorship.
Whew. Well, the book is called From a Mess to Amazing: 7 Steps to Create the Life You Deserve. And the book is half my memoir and half self help personal development. And how I have it formatted is I give you stories about myself, times where I did something wrong or I needed some guidance or assistance. And then I showed you how I overcame it so that you could take those steps to do that as well. The book is for the person who appears to have it all together on the outside, but on the inside, they know they're a hot mess. It's for the person who is feeling helpless or hopeless. It's for that person who is beginning to doubt themselves and wondering if there's more to life than what they're living. So those are the things that I talk about in the book. I decided to do a book because just like every coach and speaker out there, it's a way to get your message out. And just like my coach says, my message is not for me to keep to myself, it's for me to share. And I've always wanted to write a book. I just didn't think I could. I never saw myself as an author. It wasn't something that I had on my goal list. But as I got older and I got past, like I said, the traumas and became the woman that I am today, I said, you know what? I really want to take my story and help other people out there because I know there are people out there who are dealing with some of the similar things that I have dealt with. And I just want them to know that they can overcome. There is a tomorrow. There's, you know, better days, but you have to work at it. You have to invest in yourself. You have to change your mindset, and you can't let other people define you. So, those are the things that I talk about in the book.
That's right. That's right. Because you had to overcome all of it to get to where you are today with all the magical championship belts and trophies.
I wear my heavyweight belt every day.
All right. Good. Good, good, good. I'm not stepping in the ring with you because I want to keep my life. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The chocolate's got to stay together. And the chocolate also has to be preserved.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Oh man, oh man.
Okay.
Anyways, question I like to ask every guest, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again in the current year, what advice would you give to yourself? Oh yeah, and you get to keep all of your experience and knowledge too.
Oh, okay. Oh, but I really don't want to be 25 again. I like where I am, but if that were to happen, so I would be 25 again, I would know what I know now, but I would just be 25 again.
Yep, you basically wake up tomorrow and chronologically you would change everything basically is the same because you're probably like, what, 29?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm 29 with 30 years in the military. Yes, that means I was like -1 on
Hey,
that joint.
hey, you in the Navy, you got to swim in there, right?
Yes, exactly. The seawater keeps me young. Oh, no, but in all seriousness, I would tell myself to be true to myself, to know my worth. That, like I said, that was something that I dealt with is this low self-esteem and not knowing my worth. And if I had to be 25 again, I would say, do that. Be true to me and just know my worth. Don't worry about pleasing others and don't let other people try to tell me what I should do and how I should do it. So that would be my biggest advice to myself.
There you go, folks. There you go. You heard it from the lady herself. Know your worth. That's right. Know your worth. Worth more than butter. That's what I'm telling you, folks. It's worth a lot more than butter. It's worth more than the desert. It's worth more than gold, y'all. That's right. Because it's worth a lot. It's worth tons. Tons more than any sumo wrestler, folks. Know your worth. Yes, indeed. Well, for those who want to keep in magical contact with you, Trina, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Well, of course, I have my podcast. Trina Talk is on iTunes, Google, all the other platforms. And my website is trinamartin.com. There you can check out my services. And the big thing is my book, From a Mess to Amazing 7 Steps to Create the Life You Deserve. It will be out January 7th. Everywhere books are sold, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million, everywhere that you can purchase a book, you'll be able to find it there.
Woohoo! That's what I'm talking about, indeed, baby. That's right. That's right. New year, new month, new decade. Give yourself a new booked up. You charge into the future, not back into the future, folks, and dominate, baby. That's right. Go out there, buy a copy. Buy 21 copies. Heck, maybe buy 30. Buy one for your cat, your dog, or maybe that person in the cat or dog suit, because they will need it to know their worth. Yes, indeed. And check out our podcast too. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review. Gotta support the podcasters in the podcasting space because we got all these pods that need to be filled. Yes, indeed. So, any parting words for the folks still listening, Trina?
Um, I'm going to leave you with my favorite quote, which is by Nelson Mandela. And the quote is, "It always seems impossible until it's done."
Thanks a bunch for your listening ears on the Going North podcast. I hope you really, really enjoyed that episode. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to share it with your friends and family, especially those who love podcasts and love listening to some inspiration and motivation.